Woodland Academy Trust is a multi-academy trust of 4 primary schools with a 5th one being built. We are across Bexley in South East London and Kent. We have 1,800 children with 48% pupil premium. We've had iPads across the trust for 12 months, which have impacted positively on both teacher workload and also our outcomes for children. We'd been thinking about changing our computing offer for quite a while because we knew that we weren't meeting the needs of all the children across our schools. I was so passionate about the impact that EdTech could have, I needed to think about how we were going to introduce it. So I approached academia and worked with their leaders to set out a digital programme. One of the things we realised early on was that actually we needed to train our staff because we couldn't expect them to use the iPads without having put training in place.
We started working on the basics of what an iPad can do, thinking of it as a tool in the classroom as opposed to iPad lessons and the computing curriculum. In doing that, we kind of unlocked the opportunity to develop new resources for students to learn with. So we've been introducing them to Apple Teacher. The plan from the Trust was to introduce 2 apps per year to get the teachers to really understand the full value of those applications.
While training, we did have the occasional seminar where we would be using the iPad to develop a lesson, to make it more engaging, but it was always to make it more engaging, not to make the learning better. But since working here, I've been able to actually use the iPads to make the learning better. Now the iPad is a resource. We go to it, we use it, we put it back down like you would a pencil, a ruler, anything like that.
It's just bringing learning to life. It's creating that buzz, that excitement, enhancing the learning, making the curriculum more accessible, getting children to become more independent, problem solvers, thinking outside the box, not being so dependent on having an adult to support them, looking at finding ways of editing and improving their work, looking at ways of scaffolding or supporting their work using different digital tools and manipulatives just to bring their learning on further and just accommodate their needs better.
If children cannot access the maths problems, we try to make it visual, something that they can manipulate with. So we use this app called White Rose Digital Tools, and it can help children understand the maths problem by making it visual for them.
We use iPads in our curriculum all the time. It's a great way for the children to experience all our different topics, both our history and our geography. It takes them outside the classroom and a bit like on a school trip. They can really visualise and be involved in that moment in the different topics. So for example, they could go to the Colosseum, which links to our Romans topic, and they can explore it a bit like a tourist, or they can actually physically see a volcano and go inside the volcano and see the different parts of it, which makes it a lot more engaging and exciting for the children as opposed to just doing it on a normal worksheet, which is what they've been doing before.
So using the iPad today with the microbits, we were focusing on just giving them the basics. They're completely fresh to these. They've used them maybe once or twice. Trying to get them to connect, and them being wireless gives them so much more freedom to wander around. And for me, I get to use it to use the air server to airdrop it to my screen so they can see exactly what I'm doing, and it makes modelling that lesson so much easier.
We had to go on the iPad to this place called Basics and Input, and in one of them I got something saying say the speech, so I put it inside and then I typed in what I wanted to say.
We use Pages as a way the children can share their understanding and their learning without the limitation of things like a pencil, particularly for children that struggle with fine motor movements. The idea of having to write extensive amounts is quite daunting, let alone actually doing it. And so through Pages we can record audio of what they've done, they can record videos of what they've done. Even simple things like rather than using the keyboard to type, just using the microphone and speaking, they have to then remember they need to say the punctuation. So after using a fronted adverbial, they have to say about using a comma for it to actually go. So that's particularly good for children that struggle with that.
Desperately searched every corner of the farmhouse, even looking under the beds. A third time, comma. Elliot's stomach tightened into a familiar.
So we use maths.co.uk for our online assessments. Instead of doing paper copies, it's really useful for our children, makes it easy for them to access, but at the same time, per term, we are saving around 90,000 papers, which equates to £9,000, which we can invest in our devices. And that's 3 times in a year, so that's really good. At the same time, it's very good for our environment because it saves us paper.
So exciting to see actually the idea that I had being enacted by the children and the staff as well. And the conversations that you have with children and staff about how they're using the iPads and how it's enhancing their learning and supporting them in ways that they didn't think was possible is just amazing.
Working with our professional learning specialist gives them the opportunity to talk through why did it work, why did it not work, what could we do differently, how could we restructure it. And it's almost having that critical, trusted friend to talk through the changes, as opposed to it being, we're going to show you how to do something and now you're on your own. It's definitely built around trust and support.
Academia have helped us from the inception of the project right through to the delivery. They've put us in touch with other schools that we could speak to about what works well and what pitfalls we could avoid. They've advised us, they've helped us structure our digital strategy. Our new school, Limewood, is due to open in September 2023. It will be 3-form entry, and because of the success of the iPads that we've had across our other schools, we're going for one-to-one devices straight away.